Hi, Kathryn here with Handmade by circleartdesigns. Well, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It is wonderful to be back with you on this beautiful, cold, sleety January day. Today, we will be working on a powder blue rondelle and white bracelet. For our first project for this year, I thought we would do an easy bead weaving project. So let's turn our eyes to my work table. Well, as people know that are in this area and those who've been watching for a while, we had taken most of December and the first part of January off because we had plenty of family things planned. And as I have pulled out our mat again that says thankful and blessed, I'm really thankful and blessed that I planned, it was really a God thing, that time, because the people in my house came down with what we think was COVID, and we dropped like little stair steps. One would have it for about 4 days, and then somebody else would come down with it. And the real blessing was that we had the time already set aside where we had planned on being with family, but ended up being able to take that time and not feel harassed in our own spirits as we got through that time of sickness. You know, they say the best laid plans of mice and men. Well, our best laid plans, God had other plans for. But I'm truly thankful to be back with you today. I'm feeling good. I've been sick for a little over 2 weeks, but I'm feeling really good and my strength has come back, and I'm just praising God for that. And now, as I look out the window with it sleeting, take a moment. What have you to be thankful for this week or over the previous holidays? If you want to share in the comments, that would be amazing. All right, we have got the mat set up and we're ready to see what we're going to be using. Many of you know that I'm always running behind with my bargain bead box. So for this bead weaving project, I have pulled out some 6 by 4 millimeter crystal blue rondelles from the December bargain bead box. Things that I don't use in the month they're supposed to be used in, they always come back to the table. And so these beautiful powder blue rondelles we'll be using in this bead weaving. Now this is from Wild Beads. It is a size 8 in a pearl, and it is a gold lined pearl seed bead, and they are just gorgeous. I really love them. The company, I don't know who makes them. Wild Beads always puts it in their own tubes, and I'm never sure where it came from, but any 8.0 would work. And then we have some checked glass, and this is an 11.0, and it is in a pearl, and we're also going to use that. Now, you could just use one or the other, but I love the size of the 8.0s. But because they are a flat cut as opposed to a round cut, I'm going to add these little 11.0s to help them out. Then I have some illusion cord in a 0.3 millimeter, and I will be using the chain and a clasp from my little ribbon box. I got that off of Amazon, and I know they still have them. Alrighty, let's see. Can I think of anything else I'm going to need? You will need a needle down the line, but you won't need it right now. So, the trick to making a bead weaving project, especially when you're using both ends at the same time, is to get enough of your cording. That illusion cord, I am going to want a 7-inch bracelet. So in order to do the bead weaving, I'm going to need probably at least 20 inches. I'm going to pull off 24 just to be safe. All right, so I've gone ahead and cut that. I'm going to move my ruler out of the way and we'll get ready to start. So the first thing you're going to do for this particular bead weaving project is you're going to want to find the middle. So put your two ends together and holding it fairly tightly because this illusion cording, it is slippery. It really is. And once I've found it, I'm going to go ahead and put my lobster claw clasp through the hole at the bottom. I will not be doing beads, small beads on this to add it later. I'm going to go ahead and add it right to the cording. Once I have got it through, I'm going to go back through that loop right there. Once I have untangled this because I wasn't paying attention, pull it tight, and then you have a nice little knot right there that is holding your cording. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this again. See if I can't get the ends. I'm just going to separate them, and this time I'm going to do just a regular tie. When I do my tie, I think it's called a surgeon knot, but don't quote me on that. I loop through twice and then pull it down, and I'm going to do that 2 times. I want to make sure that this cord is good and tight. When I've got that done, I am going to put this on a little clip. Now these clips I use in my sewing. I got those from, I believe I got those from Dollar Tree. Several years ago when I was doing quilts, I was trying to get quilts quickly finished for a Christmas project. Instead of pinning, I put these little things all the way around it, and they worked really well. I still prefer pinning because I am old school. But let's see if I can get this into frame. Oh, I'm up there, Kathryn, not down here. That's the edge of the mat. Okay, so since I have put on the clasp, I'm just going to put it right up underneath that. I am on the edge of my workspace, and that holds it really well, and it doesn't get away from me. And when I do that, I know that my cording is all going to be in the same plane because it's very easy to get this cording twisted. Like I said, it's clear, it's hard to see, and I use little things to help hold it down. One of them is my rock that says believe, and another one is this beautiful little butterfly ring box that our oldest son gave me probably 4 Christmases ago. So to start this out, we're going to take one of the 8/0s and we're going to put a tail through the right side and pull it to the left, and the other tail to the left side and pull it to the right. That way your cording is coming out of both sides of this bead, and it will be laying on its side as opposed to up and down. There we go. I put one side through. I'm going to put the other side through, and then I will pull it down. Do you see that? So it's coming out of both sides. Go ahead and pull it all the way down till it touches the knot that you did for the clasp. And then this is when my rocks and my little things come into play. I'm holding that cording taut so that it will not let the beads slip. And I'm going to start with one side of the bracelet. Now for this piece, I did not use a needle. I decided only to use my needle at the very end. I start with an 8/0, then an 11/0. I'm sorry, an 11/0, and then an 8/0, then another 11/0, just like that, and a 8/0. So it's 8, 11, 8, 11, then another 8, and an 11. There you go. And then I'll finish off, well, once it quits jumping off my fingers, I'll finish off with the small little 11/0. Now, if you're using, remember I said these were 6x4mm rondelles. If you're using a rounder bead than that oval rondelle, or you're using a larger bead or a smaller bead, you will have to adjust the amount of beads that you put on. Here it is again. Isn't that a nice little, I just love it. And can you see how the little bitty ones really do, well, you will in just a minute. It really does make them a more rounded piece. I had done something similar to this last year. There's my pretty little ring box that my son gave me. And what I discovered was that when you use the 8-O's and they have that flat cut, they do not go around in a circle very well. So I started using both the 8 and the 11s. And so I am doing this on the other side. I've made the one I just beaded very taut. And now I am adding the 11-O, 8-O, 11-O, 8-O, 11-O, and 8-O. So actually you will have your 11-O's on both ends of your 8-O's, and it looks just like that. Okay, let's see. Now then, remember what we did at the beginning where we put the cording through both sides? I've picked up one of those rondelles and I put one through the left side to the right, and then I'm going to put the other, once I get the cord happy, through the right to the left. So you're going across the bead, and the smallest side of the sphere will be in the middle. Okay, so I hope that made sense, but I'll show you in just a minute. So now I'm pulling them down, and you have to pull it down taut or tight, taut, so that you keep the circle. The first one will not make a complete circle because we use that small little bead, but that is what your first one should look like, just like that. Give you a second to look at it, and then we'll start again. Okay. Now then, you will notice, I hope you can notice, because just the tips of that cording are showing through, but I have got this pulled fairly tight, and that's the tension on this is what you want to keep. If you have one of those bracelet boards, this is a great opportunity to use it. I find with my small space that you can't always see everything I'm doing on those bracelet boards. And so I have decided to go ahead and use this. And actually, this is a much quicker, for me, it's a much quicker way to set up. So here we go. Alrighty, so again, starting off with our 11-O and that beautiful pearl, Ceylon pearl, I believe is what it's called, and it's check glass. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to go ahead and use that beautiful little 11-O, and then I'm using the gold line 8-O, and then an 11-O, another 8-O, if I quit dropping it. My hands are shaking a little more than they normally shake because, like I said, I have been sick for quite a while. But you know what? I am so thankful to be doing this with y'all again. So we have put on our 8-O. We're going back to a 11-O, and then another 8 and another 11. I can tell you it is very hard for me to see the tip of that, and you can use a beading needle. I have those wide-eyed beading needles. What I have found, and the reason I'm not using it, is because you have to use more of this cording, because the friction of going back and forth, even with the wide-eyed, causes the end to break, and you lose quite a bit of your cording while you're making your bracelet. So for me, And I would highly recommend not using the needle until you get to the finishing stage and you know how much of your cording you're going to have left over. Now, once you finish one side, go ahead and make the tension tight, and we're going to do that same pattern on the other side. And of course, it's just an 11-0, an 8-0, an 11-0, an 8-0, an 11-0, an 8-0, and an 11-0. 3 8-0s with 11-0s on in between, beginning and end. So I'm trying to show you, isn't that beautiful, that gold? I just love it. I have these in a gold and in a silver. And when I was testing this pattern, I used some bargain bead box beads from a previous last year something in a beautiful Ceylon green, and I went ahead and used the silver with that, and I'll show it to you at the end. All right, so again, left to right through the bead, right to left. It doesn't really matter which direction, just try to always go left to right, right to left, or vice versa. Just make it a habit. Keep that pattern up. All right, so now I am pulling it down. I'm trying to keep the tension so I can show you how that goes. See, as soon as I release the tension, it goes back. But the really amazing thing is with this bead weaving project, about the time you get the bracelet halfway finished, the tension is set and it's not as critical. But in your first 5 or 6 loops, you're going to want to keep that tension taut. All right. I think that I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to show you when I get towards the end. Okay. And I'm still fidgeting with trying to figure out how to see the very tip of that wire. All right. So we have our 11-0 right there, our 8-0, our 11-0. Here's our second 8-0. If I can get it in the hole. Maybe I can get it in the hole. Okay, come on. My finger is in the way. Sorry about that. And my fingernails have not been done since the middle of December. I thought, I feel too bad to mess with my fingernails. So maybe they'll get done by the 1st of February. All right, so I have that side down just like that. Counting them, making sure. And then I'm going to put my Believe Rock stone on the other side. I'm going to get that. And you notice I have left my butterfly holding that tension back behind it, because this way I can still see my work right up next to me. That's another reason you want to make sure you have more than enough cording. And like I said, if you have one of those fancy little things and you want to use that, and I have seen them and they are amazing, but I don't have enough space to do that and show you what I'm doing. All right, so for the other side, I'm continuing the pattern of 11-8, 11-8, 11-8, and 11. Once I get that done, make sure that they're about the same size. And I do that because some of the 8-0s are smaller or larger than others. I put that left to right. I'm going to go through, pick up my other one and put it right to left. Grab each end and pull it down. Now, once I'm holding it, I'm going to move my weight out of the way and I'm going to pull it all the way down. And I am really pulling the tension on this because I want it to make pretty round circles. And it should look just like that. Now, I know it doesn't show up real well with the blue. My daughter just walked through and said, "Mom, you got powdered blue beads on a light blue mat. You need to do something." So I'll see what I can do in just a second. But if you keep the tension as you go around the bracelet, you will find that these circles really become beautiful circles. And that is what we're looking for. So let me see if there's something I can put under this where you can see what we're doing just slightly better. And I'll meet you back here. Well, I found some tie-dye yellow and scraps, and we're going with yellow because it's the only bright color I had, but boy, those beads show up on it. Let me go ahead and see if I can tone that yellow down a bit with a setting on my camera, and I will be right back with you. Okay, that's a little bit better. Believe me, I've got it like on a 30 going negative, trying to take some of the bright out of this. But you really can see the white beads and the blue beads much better. So I'm going to do maybe one more of this so you can see it on the yellow. And then I will meet you back when I'm ready to finish up the bracelet. But like we have done before, you're going to use your 11-0, your 8-0, your 11-0, your 8-0, your 11-0, your 8-0, and an 11-0. You're going to keep your weights on there, and I've got my weights off camera right now, but I have got that string pulled just as taut as I can get it without breaking it, so that I can keep the tension on this bead weaving project. If you've ever done any kind of weaving at all, you know that your warp it's so important that you keep your threads that you're weaving onto taut. So not so taut that they break, but kind of like a guitar string. Whenever you're working with a not bead weaving, any kind of weaving. Well, this one you want fairly taut. And so this time you can actually see those little white beads on the yellow. And I've made sure they're about the same size. I'm going to go ahead and I've taken the weight off. I'm going to go ahead and put the rondelle on. Remember, go through the left hole to the right side, the right hole to the left side. I'm left-handed. If you want to do right, left, left, right, that's fine. But I discovered recently that even whenever I was teaching children on sewing and crafting and weaving, I never told them directions because they watched me. And they used the exact same hand they saw me use because I was using my left and they were using their right. And it worked out real well. But just recently I realized, I give all my direction to left-handed people. So just flip it if it makes it feel strange to you when I say left to right and right to left. So I pulled that down. I've got my believe stone holding one side. I'm going ahead and putting the pattern on for that, the right side of the piece. And you'll notice that I haven't had to put the butterfly on to hold both sides. And the reason I haven't is because if you will notice, it's beginning to make the circles, whether I have the tension as tight on it as before and a constant tension. So I've gone ahead and moved that stone over to the other side. I'm doing the left side of the project now. And then I will put a rondelle on it. And when I finish this little section, I will meet you back when we get ready to finish the bracelet. Remember that I am doing a 7-inch bracelet. I can tell you using the beads I have, it took 13 from start to finish of the chains. That includes the beginning chain and the end chain. But my bracelet, I really want at 7 1/4 to 7.5 inches. So always measure. All right, I've putting this on, it got away from me. And let's see if I can't get it on there. Boy, do my hands look really light whenever I have to turn the intensity on that camera down. That's almost the color of my husband's hands. He's very light skinned. I am olive complected, so it's always a shock when my hands are that color. All right, here we go. And so I pulled it up, pulled it tight. Now then, if you will notice, I missed a bead. And the way I knew I missed a bead is because the circle was smaller. You would not think a little 11-0 would make that much difference, but it did. I'm going to have to pull out that side and get an 11-0 on it. So I'm glad I made the mistake. It was because I was flipped out over the yellow. I went, whoa! You should have seen it whenever I was beading. I mean, I've turned the intensity down for you, but I have yellow. I have real tie-dyed yellow that I'm working on. So I went ahead and changed that out so that it would be better. And I'm going ahead and putting the rondelle on. When I tighten this up, I will stop this and I'll come back whenever we're at the end. See you in a minute. All right, we're ready to go ahead and finish this. I have just done number 12 on my bracelet, and I'm going to go ahead and continue the same pattern we have done with the 11-0, 8-0, 11-0, 8-0, 11-0, and 8-0. I'm going to do this on both of the sides, just like that. And once we get this finished, then we're going to do something a little different than what we have been doing through these chains for quite a while. So I've got that one. Let me get my weight set down there. I just love that little butterfly ring box. And I don't keep rings in it. I actually keep little beads in it that were given to me by another one of my kids. And I've never used them, but I take them out and look at them because they're beautiful and they were a gift. And so I just leave them in a little ring box. Anyway, as I finish this up, we're doing the same thing on both sides. And you could finish it off with a rondelle. But if you will remember, in the beginning, we put in a 8-0, not a rondelle. Oh, nope. That's what I was saying to myself. Nope, wrong thing. So we want to go ahead and make it match. If you want to use rondelles in the beginning as opposed to the other, I don't have a problem with that. I just don't like something bumpy right up against my wrist when I lay it on a work table or on something else. So on that 8-0, I put through the left to the right and through the right to the left, counting to make sure I have enough circles. You can't see them all because they're off camera, but it finished for me. It ended up being 13. All right, now then, what I am doing is I am putting the chain. You see, I'm using an extender chain. We pulled it in the beginning. And I put one in through the loop of the extender chain. And just like the other side, when I tie, I'm doubling. I'm going through my loop twice and then pulling the knot down. And as I said, I believe this is called a surgeon knot, but don't hold me to that. And I do this 3 times because I really want this to be tight. Now, I have never had any problems with any of this coming off, and you'll notice because my hands are kind of shaky, I am even using a pair of pliers to make sure that that illusion cord is tight. But as I was saying, I've never had a problem with this coming loose. But if you're concerned about that, just put a tiny dot of glue. I would use the Gorilla Glue, the Super Glue Gorilla Glue on it. or just regular glue. I mean, it doesn't matter what you use. It's what you feel comfortable with rubbing up against your wrist. Alrighty, so now it's time to finish the bracelet. So, as promised, this is a big hole needle. Actually, it's a needle that has a slit in it from the top all the way down to the bottom. And you open up the slit and you can put in various size material, whether it's the very thin like this illusion cord, or it's a thicker one like whenever you're doing crochet or knitting and you need to weave your piece through something tight, and you can put your tail in this and it will do the job for you. The points are sharp, but they're not as sharp as a regular needle. It'll still poke you, so you have to be careful with it. But I find these big hole needles, I have found them at Hobby Lobby, and these days I buy them on Amazon because you can get a large variety. Sometimes I want to take one that I'm going to put through all the way through a stuffed animal or something to attach arms and things like that. And so the very longest ones are what I use. And then sometimes I'm doing teeny tiny little beadwork and I use the very smallest ones, but you can find them in several different stores if you just look for them. And like I said, they have several variety packs on Amazon. Large hole needles or big hole needles, and they're the ones that slit all the way down. Okay, let's finish this bracelet up. And just saying, I'm sorry, you'll have to back it up now because my hands are showing you the needle again. But just saying, aren't those pretty little circles in this bracelet? I love them. Like I said, the trick I found was mixing the 11s and the 8s. All right, so I'm going to load the tip that I have left over after I tied my knots into the needle. Then I'm going to go back through my beadwork. I've already tied this off. This isn't about tying it off again. It's about hiding the cords and leaving a nice little tail. So once I have got it through, and the wonderful thing about these needles is that the little tail will slide up and down the needle. So if you don't have much string left, it's beautiful for that because it'll go from one end to the other end and pull it all the way through. Once I have got it through and I take my needle off and put it on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. And then I will go through and cut it right up against the bead so that nothing is showing through the bead or out of the bead, but the tail itself is hid. Now one side I went to the right and the other side I'm going to the left. And I have to get my tail through the little the extender. My brain lapsed so that I can get this through. So I've got it through the extender. I'm going back down the other side. And then when I pull it tight, and I'm having to use pliers. Just be careful when you do that so that you don't break the cord before you do what you want to do with it. Excuse me. Thank you for putting up with my voice today. I'm still having a little bit of the stuff in my throat from when I was sick, but I had no voice at all this time last week. So I am very thankful. All right, so I'm pulling it through. I went ahead and pulled it back through the rondelle, and I'm going to cut my ends. Here we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut with one side, and I'm using my flush cutters for this so that I don't cut the bead weaving cord that I use to weave with. And you want to be very careful because there is no coming back from it. If you cut it, you might as well take all your beads off and start again. And that's how you weave the tails together. I still have to weave the tails on the other side, but isn't that pretty? And the tails on the other side have been woven through. Look at that bracelet. Isn't that lovely? It is just so pretty. I love this bracelet. Oh, gotta try it again. Now, you could do this type of bracelet with just about anything in the middle, but you do want to adjust the beads for whatever size and shape you're using in the middle. And I would do a test. Don't ever commit to something till you've done the test. So this one, from the clasp all the way to the end, says that it is 8 inches. And if you'll notice, it stops at the 6-inch mark. That's because I wanted some of the chain to be on the back of my wrist. I really hate having lumps on the back of my wrist whenever I'm working. So isn't that lovely? And here are some pictures. This piece will be up in our shop at circleartdesigns.net, along with the green one that I made. It is pretty. I just love this. You know, look around in your stash, see what you have. Try this pattern out for yourself. And if you feel so inclined to gift us by buying something off of our website, that would be amazing too. I have really missed being with y'all. I was thankful for the time to be sick, but I'm thankful that time is over. God bless you. Have an amazing beading adventure of your own, and I will see you next week. Have a really blessed weekend. God bless you all. Bye, y'all. Oh, I almost forgot. Here's the picture of the green one as well as the blue one. They'll be in the shop. God bless y'all.